lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly.
The sports world was shaken when news broke about Alyssa Thomas being suspended for a racist assault on Caitlin Clark. This incident, which unfolded on the court, has since become the center of attention for basketball fans, commentators, and even those outside of the sports community. Alyssa Thomas, known for her resilience and athletic prowess, found herself in the middle of a storm no one could have predicted. But what really happened? How did an elite athlete like Thomas, usually admired for her focus and leadership, end up embroiled in such a scandal? But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Alyssa Thomas has always been a formidable presence on the court. Standing tall with a no-nonsense attitude, her play style is a mix of brute strength and sheer skill. She's the kind of player who can bulldoze through defenses, making her a force to be reckoned with. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, is no stranger to headlines either. With her sharp shooting ability and uncanny court vision, Clark has carved out her own space as one of the brightest young talents in basketball. Her cool demeanor and undeniable talent have made her a fan favorite, especially among those who appreciate finesse and precision in their sports. When these two athletes clashed on the court, it was supposed to be another high-stakes showdown between two elite competitors. Fans were eager to see the two go head-to-head, anticipating a display of athleticism and strategy. What they got instead was an ugly confrontation that left everyone stunned. The details of the incident quickly spread across social media like wildfire, with clips and reports being dissected from every angle. A physical altercation is one thing, but when the accusations of racism entered the picture, it became a much deeper and more volatile issue. The altercation reportedly began during a heated moment in the game. Both players are known for their competitive spirit, and it wasn't the first time tensions had flared on the court. Trash talk is part of the game, a long-standing tradition in basketball meant to get into the opponent's head. But according to sources close to the situation, this particular exchange took a darker turn. As the verbal jabs escalated, Thomas allegedly crossed a line, using a racial slur directed at Clark. What started as a typical on-court exchange quickly spiraled into something much more damaging. It's hard to fully capture the gravity of such an accusation. Racism has no place in sports, or anywhere for that matter, but to see it manifest in such a direct way, between two athletes of this caliber, is something that hits harder. Basketball, like most sports, has long been a space where diversity is celebrated. Athletes from all backgrounds come together to compete, and it's often touted as a meritocratic environment where skill trumps everything else. When something like this happens, it fractures that image and raises uncomfortable questions about what's really happening behind the scenes. Alyssa Thomas, for her part, is not someone many would have pegged for this kind of behavior. Over the years, she has built a reputation as a hard-nosed competitor who lets her game speak for itself. The idea that she could be involved in something as toxic as racism seems to go against everything fans thought they knew about her. Yet, here we are, with Thomas suspended and the basketball world trying to make sense of it all. It's as if one moment of bad judgment has overshadowed a career built on sweat, sacrifice, and success. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, has handled the situation with the same poise she shows on the court. While she hasn't said much publicly, those close to her describe her as disappointed, but focused on moving forward. Clark has always been someone who lets her game do the talking, and this incident seems no different. Still, it's impossible to ignore the toll this has likely taken on her. Being on the receiving end of a racist comment is something no one should have to endure, especially in a professional setting. Clark's resilience, both as a player and as a person, will likely be tested in the days and weeks to come. The implications of this incident extend far beyond the individuals involved. For one, it forces the basketball community to confront the issue of racism in a way that can't be brushed aside. It's one thing to put up anti-racism slogans and wear shirts that say equality, but it's another to actually address the deeper issues at play. The fact that this happened at the highest levels of the sport means that no one is immune to scrutiny. Whether it's the players, the coaches, or even the fans, everyone is being asked to take a hard look at the environment that allowed this to happen. There's also the question of how this will impact the league. Thomas was an integral part of her team, and losing a player of her caliber is no small thing. Her suspension has undoubtedly thrown a wrench into their season, leaving fans and teammates alike to wonder what could have been. It's a reminder that actions off the court can have just as much of an impact as what happens during the game. Teams spend countless hours preparing for every possible scenario, but something like this is nearly impossible to plan for. On the flip side, Clark's team may find themselves rallying around her in the wake of this incident. Sometimes adversity brings a team closer together, and there's no doubt that Clark's teammates will want to support her through this. There's a certain camaraderie that comes with standing by someone during a tough time, and Clark's leadership and talent will likely be leaned on even more in the aftermath. Still, the incident casts a shadow over what should have been a season focused on competition and growth. Another angle to consider is the broader impact on fans. Sports, at its best, is about community and shared experiences. People come together to cheer for their favorite teams and players, setting aside their differences for the love of the game. When an incident like this happens, it threatens to divide that community. Fans are left grappling with the behavior of athletes they've looked up to, trying to reconcile their admiration for someone's talent with the disappointment in their actions. It's a delicate balance, and one that many are still trying to figure out. There's also the unfortunate reality that some will use this incident to fuel their own agendas. Racism is a deeply rooted issue, and when it comes to light in such a public way, it can sometimes bring out the worst in people. Instead of focusing on healing and education, there's the risk that this incident will be used to further divide people. The internet, as we know, can be an unforgiving place, and it's not hard to imagine the kind of toxic debates that are already bubbling up in comment sections and on social media platforms. But perhaps the most significant takeaway from all of this is the reminder that athletes, no matter how talented or successful, are still human. They make mistakes, sometimes big ones, and they have to deal with the consequences just like anyone else. For Alyssa Thomas, this is undoubtedly a low point in her career. Whether or not she can bounce back from it remains to be seen, but the road ahead won't be easy. Reputation is hard to build and even harder to rebuild once it's been tarnished. As for Caitlin Clark, she will continue to play, and she will continue to be great. But this incident will likely stay with her for a long time. It's a chapter in her story that no one expected, but it's one she'll have to carry with her. Athletes are often seen as invincible, but moments like this remind us that they're just as vulnerable as anyone else. In the end, this situation is a mess. There's no other way to put it. The suspension of Alyssa Thomas for a racist assault on Caitlin Clark has sent shockwaves through the basketball world, and its reverberations will be felt for some time. It's a stark reminder that no matter how far we think we've come, there's still work to be done. Racism, in any form, is unacceptable, and this incident forces us all to take a hard look at what more we can do to make sports, and society as a whole, a truly inclusive space. The basketball court, once a place where Thomas and Clark battled for supremacy, now represents something different, a flashpoint for a conversation that's long overdue. Whether this leads to meaningful change or simply becomes another footnote in the history of sports remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure. This is huge, and it's far from over. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.